The pain of a kind heart. There is a truth that very few people dare to speak about. That being kind does not always bring peace. Have you ever helped someone with all your heart, only to feel exhausted in return? Have you ever stayed beside someone, listened to them, lifted them up, given your time, your energy, your care, only to realize they never really changed? And then, one day, you begin to ask yourself, was I wrong to help others? That question is not yours alone. Long ago, there was a young monk who carried the same burden and came before the Buddha. He bowed deeply, his voice sincere, yet heavy. Blessed One, my heart is full of compassion. I want to help all beings. But the more I give, the more I suffer. No judgment, no blame. The Buddha simply sat in silence, then gently said, "You have compassion, but you lack wisdom. And compassion, without wisdom to guide it, will become the source of suffering." These words opened a door, because not everyone is ready to be helped, and not every act of helping leads to something good. Sometimes, helping others can harm them, and it can harm you as well. Today, we will walk through 7 types of people that if you help them blindly, your kindness will become your burden. Listen carefully, not to judge others, but to understand and protect your own heart. Seedling type 1. Those who fall but refuse to rise. There are people who are not unable to stand up. They simply do not want to. They live in suffering, yet feel comfortable in it. They stay in their problems, yet refuse to leave. You come, you offer your hand, but they don't take it. You try to pull them up, they pull you down instead. At first, you think, maybe they just need more time. So you stay, you listen, you comfort, you try again and again. But slowly, you begin to feel tired, not because you are not enough, but because they never intended to change. The Buddha said, you cannot save someone by jumping into the mud with them. If a person does not even have the slightest intention to rise, then all your effort will only pull you deeper. Compassion does not mean staying in the mud. Compassion means standing firmly on solid ground and offering your hand only when the other person is ready to reach for it. Remember, you are not responsible for saving someone who chooses to drown. Wave type 2. Those who want to be saved but refuse to change. There is a kind of person who is very good at telling their pain. They speak of their struggles, their unfair life, their wounds. You listen, you feel empathy, you want to help, you offer advice, a direction, a solution, but they say, it won't work. I've tried. I can't do it. It's not that they are incapable. It's that they don't want to take responsibility. They are not looking for a way out. They are only looking for temporary relief. You become a place for them to release emotions. But after each time, they remain the same, and you become more and more drained. The Buddha said, helping someone who refuses to change is like pouring water into a bottomless pit. You can give endlessly, but it will never be enough. True compassion is not about feeding weakness. It is about awakening the strength within them. If they do not want to change, then what you need to do is not to give more, but to stop. Type 3. Those who use your kindness to feed their destruction. There are people who will accept your help, but not to grow. They take what you give and use it to continue their harmful patterns. You offer support, they use it to justify their behavior. You give them guidance, they twist it into an excuse. At first, you may not see it clearly, because your intention is pure. Your heart is open. You believe that kindness will heal them. But slowly, you begin to notice something. No matter how much you give, they are not becoming better. They are becoming more dependent, more careless, more lost. The Buddha once taught, giving without wisdom can become a weapon in the wrong hands. To help such a person is like placing a sharp knife into the hands of someone who does not yet understand its power. They may not intend harm, but harm will still be done. And in the end, you will carry the weight of it. True compassion does not support destruction. It does not enable blindness. Sometimes, the most compassionate act is to stop giving, not out of anger, not out of rejection, but out of clarity. Because real kindness does not mean saying yes to everything. It means protecting what is right. Seedling type 4. Those who want to cross the river but expect you to carry them. There are people who speak endlessly about change. They say they want a better life. They say they want to grow. They say they want to move forward. But when it is time to act, they step back. They hesitate. They delay. They find excuses. And slowly, they begin to place everything on you. Can you help me? Can you do this for me? I don't know how. At first, you don't mind. Because you care. Because you want to support them. So you carry a little more. Then a little more. Then everything. Until one day, you realize you are the one doing all the work. And they are just being carried. The Buddha taught, if you carry someone across the river, they will never learn how to swim. Helping someone is not about removing their effort. It is about encouraging their strength. Because without effort, there is no growth. Without struggle, there is no transformation. If you carry them too long, you take away their chance to become who they are meant to be. True compassion is not carrying others forever. It is walking beside them while they learn to walk on their own. Type 5. Those who see kindness as something to manipulate. There are people whose minds are filled with fear. You approach them with sincerity, but they respond with suspicion. You offer kindness, but they look for hidden motives. You give with an open heart, but they protect themselves with walls. They do not see your light. They only see what they are afraid of. And slowly, something begins to change. Your kindness becomes misunderstood. Your presence becomes uncomfortable. Your sincerity becomes questioned. And without realizing it, you are pulled into their darkness. The Buddha taught, when a mind is clouded, even light appears as shadow. With such people, the problem is not your intention. It is their perception. And no matter how much you try, you cannot force someone to trust. You cannot force someone to see clearly. In these moments, compassion must take a different form. Not closeness, not constant giving, but distance. A quiet, respectful distance. Because sometimes, the kindest thing you can do is to step back, not to abandon them, but to protect both of you. Type 6. Those who only take and never give back. There are people who receive everything you offer. Your time, your energy, your attention. your care. And yet, they never give anything in return. Not gratitude, not awareness, not even a small effort to grow. At first, you don't notice, because your heart is generous. You believe that giving is already enough. But over time, something begins to shift. You feel tired. You feel unseen. You feel empty. Because giving, without balance, becomes depletion. The Buddha taught, giving that destroys the giver is not compassion. True compassion does not erase yourself. It does not require you to disappear so that someone else can exist. There must be a boundary. Clear, quiet, firm, like the line between day and night. Because without boundaries, kindness becomes sacrifice. And sacrifice, without awareness, becomes suffering. To step back from those who only take is not selfish. It is wisdom. And wisdom protects compassion so that it can continue to exist. Wave type 7. Those who repeat their mistakes by choice. There are people who fall again and again, not because they do not know, but because they refuse to change. They see the consequences. They feel the pain. They understand the pattern. And still, they choose the same path. Again, and again, and again. You try to help them. You explain. You guide. You warn. But nothing stays. Because their hands are not open to receive. The Buddha said, trying to help such a person is like pouring water into hands that refuse to hold it. No matter how much you give, nothing remains. And slowly, you begin to feel hopeless. But understand this: you cannot change someone who has not chosen change. You cannot awaken someone who is determined to stay asleep. Compassion does not mean forcing transformation. It means respecting the truth. And sometimes, the truth is this: they are not ready. And until they are, your presence will not reach them. The final truth: you are a lamp, not a lifeboat. After hearing all of this, the young monk sat in silence. His heart was no longer confused. But still, there was one question left. He looked at the Buddha and asked softly, "Then, should I stop helping others?" The Buddha smiled, a gentle smile that carried the stillness of countless lifetimes. And he said, "No, compassion is your nature, but wisdom must be your guide." Then, he offered a teaching, so simple, yet so powerful, that it has echoed through time. You are a lamp, not a lifeboat. A lamp does not carry anyone. It does not force anyone. It simply shines. And those who are ready will see the light and walk their own path. But a lifeboat must carry others, must struggle, must fight the waves, and often loses itself, trying to save everyone. You were never meant to carry the world. You were meant to illuminate it, a new way to love. From this moment, let your compassion be guided by wisdom. Help, but do not lose yourself. Give, but do not destroy your peace. Care, but do not carry what is not yours. Because true love is not sacrifice without awareness. It is clarity, balance, and deep understanding. And when you learn to be a lamp, you will no longer feel exhausted from giving. You will no longer feel lost in others' suffering. You will simply shine quietly, gently, steadily, and that light will be enough.